Hey guys, welcome back to the AJ Analysis channel, where today we are back with a Manchester United tactical preview because this weekend they are playing against Wolverhampton Wanderers. So I want to look at, again, how United can beat Wolves, some of the weaknesses in the Wolves team, some of the threats that Wolves will carry, things like that. Now with Wolves it is a little bit difficult to kind of predict how they're going to play because they recently got a new manager in Lopetegui and he hasn't had many games at the club so far, so it's kind of difficult to pick up on too many patterns that they're using or defensive weaknesses. However, we are largely going to focus this preview on what we saw from the Wolves game against Everton. I believe it was on Boxing Day. I have watched that game back a couple of times and picked up on a few little things. So I want to look at how Ten Hag can beat this Wolves team and a couple of players that I think may hold the key to beating them. So let's kind of get into it. And actually to start off with, I want to talk about the threat that Wolves will carry on the ball. Some of the stuff that they will look to do in possession. And in terms of the lineups here, I've gone for the same Wolves lineup from what they used in the last game, as that is the only game they've played recently. It's the only game we've really got to base it on, although Matheus Nunes could certainly come in for Hodge in midfield. And then as for United, there are talks that Lisandro Martinez and Rafa Varane will be the centre-back partnership. Now, I'm not entirely convinced that is necessarily true, but if it isn't true, then it will be Luke Shaw at left-back and Malacia at left-back instead. However, for now, we're going to kind of take the word that we've heard that it will be Lisandro Martinez and Rafa Varane, with Dalot still out at right back, so Wan-Bissaka once again coming into the team. Before we continue with the analysis, I want to talk to you guys about JerseyFIFA.com, the home of all of the greatest football kits. Whether that's the latest home shirts, the latest away shirts, tracksuits, or even retro kits, Jersey FIFA has a bit of everything. There really is something for everyone, so if you are interested, then make sure to use the link in the description down below and head to JerseyFIFA.com. And when Wolves have the ball, you know, they want to try and build possession. They do want to try and have spells in the game where they are on top and dominating the ball. And to do that, Neves will often drop in between the centre-backs like this, allowing Collins and Kilman to split slightly wider either side. They then push the fullbacks really high up the pitch, especially Semedo. They do this quite early. Interestingly, from here, they don't seem to always operate with a player in the middle of the pitch. Certainly in that game against Everton. Now, whether this is through choice, I'm not too sure, because it's a slightly weird tactical decision. It might actually be a case of players getting the timings of their movements wrong, because basically what happens is Moutinho pushes quite far forward. You've got, of course, the wingers coming inside a little bit. Hodge kind of, at times, was getting across into a solo pivot to kind of make this 3-1. But also there were situations where he was kind of wide on the right here. So there were genuine spells during that game against Everton where Wolves were building possession, and they almost had no midfield presence, and they were very much focusing their progression on the wider areas. So if that is something that they're going to do again, then United need to be ready for that, and it will put added defensive emphasis on Rashford and Antony. Antony, I'm very confident he can deal with that. He is a very good defensive player. He does put a lot of defensive work rate in. We often see him tracking back against the opposition fullback, so I'm not too bothered about that. It is a slight concern down this side of the pitch though. With Semedo bombing forward, Rashford isn't someone that always wants to go back and do the defensive work. Some of that is like him individually choosing that, and some of that is for tactical reasons. One, I just genuinely don't think Rashford enjoys defending, so he doesn't enjoy going this way. But also sometimes it's a tactical thing because he likes to attack the space on the counter-attack. And that is an area where I think Manchester United can hurt Wolves. If Wolves are going to try and play on the ball, Manchester United at times might be better off saying, okay, you can have the ball for a bit, but we're going to time it, win the ball back from you, and then pounce and counter-attack, because that's where I think United can be really dangerous. Especially one without this kind of presence in midfield. If Hodge is going to be in a slightly wider area, if Neves is going to be slightly deeper like this, then Bruno Fernandes on the counter-attack could be a big weapon. Because I speak about it quite a bit. If you can get Bruno Fernandes with time and space on the half-turn in this area on the counter-attack, he's one of the best players in the world at kind of playing this sort of role. Now, yes, he does have off days where his passing isn't quite on it, his final decision isn't quite right. However, if he is on it, this could be United's key to counter-attacking and really hurting this Wolves team. Especially, like I said, with Rashford on this left-hand side, getting forward and attacking the space left by Semedo higher up the pitch. Hodge will kind of try and cover it, as will Collins, but Rashford isn't as easy to stop as that. And I do think Rashford would have the beating of both of these two, and it's for this reason why I think Rashford and Bruno Fernandes could hold the key if Wolves try and play any sort of expansive possession football at any time in the game. These two will be the key to kind of exploiting the backline on the counter-attack. And that is certainly one way that United could carry a threat. but of course they will also look for sustained possession as well. When United are looking for this sustained possession and are trying to take control of the game, they will be faced with a Wolves side that I think is going to press them quite high up the pitch. Not necessarily something we always associate with Wolves, however under Lopetegui it does look like something they want to do. And the way that they do it is they get a lot of players ball side. So even say if the ball is being progressed down Manchester United's right hand side, even Hwang on the right wing for Wolves will come right across, right over. So you'll have Costa pressing with intensity. We know he is always a nuisance to play against. You'll have Moutinho trying to pick up Casemiro, and then Hwang in this sort of area here. So Wolves are going to try and really crowd ball side and put the Manchester United players under pressure. Now, if they execute this press well, it could be a problem for Manchester United because it is something they struggle with. We know that they lack that kind of Frenkie de Jong sort of figure in midfield, that press-resistant player to get them out of these situations. So this could be a problem for United. Also, with the fact that Dalot isn't here at right back, United lose a bit of passing quality on the ball. Dalot's passing and kind of composure under pressure can often be good to get United out of the press, passing the ball forward towards someone like Antony or Casemiro or Bruno Fernandes. So this could be a problem for United. The key for them is going to be to move the ball quickly. And it's again why I think Dalot will be a miss in this game. Because something that Dalot is quite good at is switching the ball from this right back area out to Luke Shaw on the left hand side, where if Shaw can get a good touch, he can then step forward. This is a weapon that could have been really, really useful for Manchester United in this game, but I'm not sure they're going to have it with Wan-Bissaka in the team over Dalot. So that will be a problem for United. So instead what they're going to have to do is move the ball quickly. And even if they go back to Varane and then back to De Gea, the key is going to be quick passes then into a left centre-back. Or if the press is going down the other side of the pitch to the right centre-back. Either way, this is an area where United can kind of get at Wolves. If they can draw the Wolves press onto them, over onto this kind of one side of the pitch, one side heavy, then if United can go backwards and then quickly move the ball forwards to the other side, especially with Lisandro Martinez at centre-back, who we know is willing to step forward, then this is a way that United can kind of drag Wolves one way and then attack down the other side of the pitch. So manipulate the Wolves defence over to this side and then attack down this side could be a really useful way for Manchester United to attack. It is something that Everton got some success with against Wolves the other day, and no disrespect to the Everton players, these Manchester United players are higher quality, so if the Everton players are able to kind of execute this plan of sucking them in and then going back and then switching the play to the other side, I'm confident that United can do it as well. And then if you can get the likes of Lisandro Martinez and Luke Shaw carrying the ball forward down this side, then United could have some success. And I think the result of that will be that eventually Wolves will kind of ease their press a little bit. I don't think we're going to see a 90-minute intense display of pressing from Wolves. I think eventually they will sit into a deeper shape. If they don't, and United are able to get these passes right, then I think again United can hurt them. Because we can get, with the right winger moving inside, it is going to leave the right back isolated. And the same when the press is the other side as well. If the press is over this side like this, then we can see that it's going to leave the left back 2 versus 1 against a fullback and a winger, which is something that Wolves probably won't be able to deal with. So if United are able to kind of keep their composure when they're being pressed, they really could have some joy here. And as a result, like I said, I do think Wolves will eventually sit off a little bit more. So for Wolves the other day, what we saw was that when they sat back deeper, it almost became a bit of a 4-4-2 shape, with Moutinho playing kind of in line with Costa, sometimes a little bit behind him, maybe perhaps a 4-4-1-1 at times. But it's not exactly a crowded midfield, and I think this is something that could suit Manchester United. Now, the issue, of course, when you face a front two is that if you play with 2 centre-backs, they can go man for man. So I think what we will see from United in this game is once again that 3-1-6 shape. It could be Wan-Bissaka dropping in, it could be Christian Eriksen, it could be Luke Shaw, it could be Casemiro. It probably will change during the game, but I think more often than not I would go with Wan-Bissaka playing in this area, because I think it will free up the rest of the team. The reason I say this is because by playing Wan-Bissaka slightly deeper, almost in a back 3, it's going to give Christian Eriksen and Luke Shaw the license to push a bit further forward. And I think these days, these two are very, very important to the Manchester United attack. 2 of the most important players, in fact. The way that they progress the ball, but also their technical ability in tight spaces, their link play with those around them, especially Marcus Rashford, is really, really impressive. The question is, how do United get the ball to them? Because I think what Wolves might do is use their front 2 really narrow to kind of either press the player on the ball or kind of cut out Casemiro. Now we know that Casemiro is one of the best midfielders in the world, and this season he's really proving himself as a dictating midfielder. So I think what we might see from Wolves is this narrow shape on Casemiro to stop him getting on the ball. Because to an extent so far this season, if you can stop Casemiro from dictating, you can largely stop Manchester United from taking control and particularly progressing the ball forward through the lines. So I think that is something that Wolves will look to target. Can they stop Casemiro? with this shape, they probably can. There probably is a shape that you can use to stop him. However, what it does do, when you're using kind of this sort of system, is it does create space for other players. And I think it's why Wan-Bissaka and Lisandro Martinez, or potentially Luke Shaw in this position, could get some space to step forward with the ball. And this is where you then ask questions of this Wolves team. Because as you're pressing, you ask, or as you're stepping, I should say, you ask questions of Wolves. Should Moutinho come out towards him, but then Casemiro can potentially get the ball, or is it Hwang's job? And what it does, it just creates those moments where you just question yourself a little bit as a defender, where you're meant to be stepping into. And I think what we can see is that United could potentially create the overload in the midfield, with Christian Eriksen here, Anthony Martial dropping deep, and Bruno Fernandes in this area. So say if you can get the ball to someone like Wan-Bissaka here, and Bruno Fernandes is pinning Neves, Guedes is slow getting out to Wan-Bissaka, there is going to be this potential to play the ball through the lines into the feet of someone like Martial. And again, this was something that we saw from Everton the other day, when Maupay was dropping into these areas and then Anthony Gordon was running off him. It did cause a couple of problems for this Wolves team. So with Martial doing something similar, dropping deep, and Marcus Rashford running in behind, that could be very, very dangerous. We know how good Rashford is in these areas, we know how good Martial's link play with him is. That could be a weapon that Manchester United look to use. It very often is. And I think it will be the same again. Another weapon that United could use, particularly from Lisandro Martinez, or again if Luke Shaw plays in this area, is long balls over the top. Because Wolves will use a reasonably high line. So if you can get the pace of either Rashford or Martial, or even perhaps Fernandes running from deep in behind the defence, I think that is another way that United can hurt Wolves. I think in general United are going to have more of the ball in this game. I think they will be the dominant team. However, I don't think it will be relaxed possession. Like I said, I think Wolves will start the game with an intensity, looking to press them and get around them. However, if United are able to use that play where they go backwards and then forward down the other side, Wolves will eventually sit off into this sort of shape. I think it's naturally how the game will play out. The question from there is how Manchester United break down this sort of 4-4-2 shape. Personally, this is the shape I would be using. A 3, a 1, and then a sort of 6 shape like this, with Shaw, Eriksen and Rashford getting close to each other on this side, Martial as the main man up front, Bruno Fernandes in this right pocket, although naturally he will drift inside a little bit more, and then Antony. We need to see a little bit more from Antony in this game. We know he has that ability to beat a man, so let's see it from him. Let's see that confident display. Get on the ball and look to get at your fullback. Can you work a ball into the box, or can you cut inside and then play underlapping pass to Bruno Fernandes, someone like that? There are ways United can hurt this Wolves team, especially with the fact that Wolves are going to use a back 4. If United can eventually use either a front 5 or even a front 6, United kind of naturally create that overload and are going to drag Wolves players out of position. Combine that with the fact that United already have more players in the midfield than Wolves, I see some real potential for success for United in this game. Do I think it will be easy? Not really. I think this Wolves team is very good. I think there are some very good players in this squad. I know they haven't had the best season so far, and they're not where they should be in the table. But in terms of the talent in this team, there is a lot of talent. There is a lot of talent throughout the team, throughout the squad. They have a few options that they can bring in from the bench as well. So this Wolves team is not to be underestimated. They will cause United problems. However, if United are able to get their key players on the ball, and these players are able to execute and deliver in the big moments, I think United can win this game. I think Wolves will put up a good test. I'm looking forward to the game. But in my opinion, Manchester United, with these tactics and some other things I'm sure as well, I think United can win this game. But let me know what you think in the comments down below, I guess. What do you think the key tactical factors are going to be? Where do you think Wolves can hurt Manchester United? Where can Manchester United hurt Wolves? What would your starting 11 be? Would you use Lisandro Martinez at centre-back, or is it too soon after the World Cup? Would you play Shaw in that position instead? Would you bring Garnacho into the team, perhaps for Antony? Let me know what you think in the comments down below. Thank you guys for watching. I hope you have enjoyed the video, and as always, I will see you in the next one.